Boeing is getting a lot of bad press these days.
New questions about Boeing.
Just days after testifying against the company, whistleblower John Barnett was found dead.
Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun will step down at the end of this year.
People were going launched out of their seats. There was blood pouring from people's faces.
This is a far cry from the vision of William E. Boeing, who founded the company, one that came to be seen as the pride of America, with Boeing himself saying that he would rather close up shop than send out bad work. Now, Boeing's own workers are saying they would not step foot in one of the company's planes. But why so? Well, Boeing's ethos was initially one that maximized engineering excellence, product quality, and safety. The 707 launched the commercial flying era. The 747 was dubbed the Queen of the Skies thanks to its massive passenger carrying capacity. And the 777 was the world's largest twin-engine jet. For a while, things were going really well. Until 1997, when the company merged with McDonnell Douglas, an aerospace manufacturer and defense contractor. This merger completely changed Boeing's culture, from one that provided safe aircraft of exceptional quality to one that monitors stocks, pushes corporate goals, and seeks above all to maximize profit. In 2001, 4 years after the merger, Boeing's business wing decided to pack up and relocate to Chicago, leaving the company's engineering and manufacturing facility in Seattle. It goes without saying that this led to a massive disconnect and disagreements between executives and engineers. McDonnell Douglas executives prefer to focus on profit-making, pressuring its engineers to monitor stock prices and trim down their team as cutting-edge innovation and engineering a new series of aircraft took a backseat. This was obvious during Boeing's grueling process of crafting the 787 Dreamliner, which turned into a nightmare. Nothing went according to plan. The plane's first test flight was delayed by 3 years, and it cost the company an extra $32 billion due to management's decision to cut down teams and divest branches responsible for developing key parts, like airplane fuselages. Boeing ended up outsourcing the manufacturing, engineering, and designing of plane parts to around 50 different partners. That's right, 50. Here's another shocker. In the end, Boeing built less than 40% of the 787 Dreamliner. Having so little control over the development of its own plane meant that Boeing had to juggle all its different suppliers. Decentralizing production also meant that Boeing ultimately had less control over the Dreamliner, and it spent a lot of time and money ironing out a range of engineering and production-related issues, like its faulty lithium-ion batteries, thin gaps in fuselage, and even loose seats and incorrectly installed nuts and bolts. You may be wondering why a multi-billion-dollar organization would be engaging in such broke behavior. Easy. Boeing was skimping on reinvesting its profits back into its own products because it was using them for share buybacks. Between 2013 and the first quarter of 2019, Boeing forked out $43 billion to holders over purchasing shares. It spent 92% of its operating cash flow on dividends and share buybacks. Although Boeing faced quite a few setbacks before and after its rollout of the 787 Dreamliner, it was the launch of the 737 MAX that brought it all crashing down. On October 2018, a Lion Air flight took off from Indonesia for a domestic flight. 13 minutes after takeoff, it crashed into the Java Sea. Some 4 months later, an Ethiopian Airlines flight suffered the same fate. 346 people lost their lives on both of those flights. And reports reveal a harrowing story of pilots desperately trying to maintain lift on the planes, even as the nose kept pushing the aircrafts down. These reports subsequently revealed how the tragic crashes were a result of cutting both corners and costs. Boeing is one half of the aircraft manufacturing duopoly that has it facing off against its French rival Airbus, which has been benefiting a lot from this whole fiasco. Threatened and inspired by Airbus's A320neo family, which is basically the more fuel-efficient offspring of the A320, Boeing maxed out its existing 737 design. They modified the 737 frame, a plane that made its commercial debut in 1968, by the way, and added heavier, larger fuel-efficient engines and hitched them higher up in the plane. This led to a problem. Testing found that heavier, larger engines kept pushing up the nose of the plane, so Boeing made an adjustment. They hastily and sloppily wrote the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, designed to push the plane's nose down if it tilted up or stalled. They also installed 2 sensors to detect the plane angle, but only one could work at a time. This made the aircraft vulnerable to anything in the air, like birds or balloons. To make matters worse, Boeing did this all covertly, so it wouldn't have to spend money on training pilots via a simulation program. The Lion Air and Ethiopian airline incidents cast MCAS and Boeing's business plan into sharp relief. The latter led to a worldwide grounding of the plane for nearly 2 years, concluding at the end of 2020. Although Boeing has since sacked some high-level figures and cut production to sort itself out, in 2024 it is still playing catch-up with bad decision-making from a decade ago, which is why you're hearing about door plugs flying off and bolts missing in Boeing planes. A 2024 Federal Aviation Administration audit of 737 MAX production found Boeing failed 33 of 89 product audits. Make no mistake, air travel is still the safest mode of transportation, but Boeing's preventable failures are still cause for concern. So what does this all mean for you? Ryanair CEO has some answers.
At the moment, demand is strong, capacity is constrained because of the challenges being faced by Airbus and Boeing, and I think fares are going to rise this year and probably next year as well.
And where does this leave Boeing? Will it close up shop instead of sending out work of its kind, as its founder said? Well, no. Analysts say America's pride is too big to be allowed to fail, which is why Boeing has a long uphill climb in store, involving more stringent quality control checks, transparency, and cutting back on the cost cutting. More importantly, it needs to do damage control on all the bad PR it has been getting, not only on its planes, but the recent death of a Boeing whistleblower due to an apparent suicide while in the midst of a deposition against the company. With lawsuits to battle, checks to pay out, and potentially a corporate culture to overhaul, the route there may very well be a turbulent one.